Well, for the last 3 years, we've had opportunity to have our daughters, Amy and Jenny, come into each one of our classes to answer questions that you may have. Now, one of the things we're trying to accomplish by having them come in is for you to get an understanding of what life is like from a teenager perspective right now in today's society. We also have a second motive, and that motive is hopefully a positive example for you. It's our sincere desire that wherever you are now, wherever you are with your children, the ages of your children, that in 5 years or 10 years, wherever you may be at, that your children can stand before any number of adults, whether it be 1 or 100 or 1,000, and represent you for exactly what you believe. We trust, as the girls come up and just share their hearts, that you will have the freedom to ask them anything you want to ask them. You could ask them anything you want about their mother, about their father, about how fair we were, how unfair we were, how we mistreated them, or how well we've treated them. But we're going to leave, Anne-Marie and I. We'll be back in a little bit over an hour. So I'm going to have Amy and Jennifer come on up and answer these questions.
First question, and I'm going to open up with the first question tonight. Amy, I would like you to just take a few minutes and share a little bit about Jenny. Okay, tell everyone a little bit about Jenny and some of the admirable qualities she has. And you don't have to talk about any of the negative qualities. And when she's done, Jenny, you can turn around and share a little bit about Amy to the rest of the group. And this is just kind of introduction on who they are. Okay, go ahead.
She's 16, and she's very nice. She's my absolute bestest friend, and she can keep secrets well, and she lets me borrow her clothes, and she doesn't, she's nice to my friends. What else? Keep going. What do you want me to say?
What's been her, in your life, how has Jennifer benefited you most?
She doesn't tell Mom and Dad everything.
Okay. Jennifer, your turn.
She's 18, and she's my best friend too. And I guess she's always there for me. She's the one person I can rely on is my sister. And let's see, she's a very organized person, and that's very good for me because I'm very disorganized. And she cleans my closets for me, and she throws things away, and she's very trusting, and she doesn't share everything with my mom and dad either. And I know we get along really well. But she's really fun. So.
Do you think your relationship is a unique relationship as far as sisters?
Yes.
Why?
Because I know a lot of our friends don't like their brothers and sisters, and I can't figure that one out. I don't know, it's just different. Yeah. We get along. I guess that's unique nowadays. Everybody's always amazed that we're best friends, so I don't know.
That's good. We're going to open up questions now, and Cheryl, you'll take one on that side, take the microphone and go back and forth.
What restrictions, if any, were placed on the TV when you were growing up, and how do you feel you benefited from those restrictions?
When we were younger, we had 10 hours a week that we were allowed to watch, well, any shows that were good to watch. We usually watch like an hour on Monday night for Little House on the Prairie, and then watch very little during the weekdays. So on Saturday morning, we could get up and watch cartoons. So that's what we did.
I want to know if the two of you, being that you're a couple of years difference in age, did the two of you share a bedroom? And if so, are you glad about that, or do you feel that you would have preferred or do enjoy having separate rooms?
We have our own rooms, but most of the time, because we each have trundle beds, we are in each other's room because at night is the only time we really can talk, so we just talk and then we go to sleep. Rather than switching rooms, we just stay in there. But I guess it's nice to have your own room.
When you talk about being best friends, what did your family do to foster that attitude toward each other and encourage that?
I don't know. Well, for me, when you live with someone for 16 years, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but not to get along with them and to even develop a relationship. And I guess it was just encouraged to do things with your sister, go to the store with your sister, or do this with your sister, and that's just how the friendship just developed. Just to doing things together and talking.
Yeah, plus back in New Hampshire, we didn't have a lot of friends around us. So, we always had to do things together, and we always had to learn to get along and stuff, and I think that had a lot to do with it.
What did your parents do when you were younger, and you maybe squabbled over toys, or you did bicker and fight with each other? How did they handle that?
They just said, you either get it worked out or you're both getting a spanking.
Can I ask a question about how you both handled peer pressure? Did you ever have any problems with that?
Well, you just take a stand. Lately I haven't been under really that much pressure. But when I was younger, you just step out. You just say, no, I don't want to do this. And more times than not, there's always other kids who agree with you who just don't have the courage to step back. So you're usually never alone. They just want some person to take the first step and just saying, no, I don't think so, or no, I don't want to do that, it's wrong, or whatever. And so you just, if you make a stand right as soon as you get in or something, then people aren't going to bug you and they're not going to pressure you to do things you don't want to, because you've already established what you believe and where you stand on things.
In your earlier childhood, did you ever feel that your parents spanked you too much, or did you ever feel resentful toward them, if they did?
Back then I thought they spanked me too much, but it must have worked because I'm not real bad now. I never truly felt resentful towards my parents. There are times, after you get spanked, you do feel upset. You just got hurt. There's no reason why. You're not going to be happy after that. But I never resented them, and looking back, I don't think I got too many spankings. I think my parents were really balanced, and I just think the way we were disciplined was very well, just compared to some of the kids now. We're having all these problems, and they're always grounded and what have you. I look back, I'm so glad I got it when I was younger and learned the lessons then than having to learn them now.
Compared to Amy, I didn't get that many spankings. One of the things, because I learned from her mistakes. My dad always told me, now, Denny, you just saw what happened to your sister, and you should learn and watch what she does and learn from her mistakes. And so I did, but I don't think I was spanked that much, and I don't even remember the spankings that I got. So, it doesn't bother me in any way.
When you have your own children, what do you want to copy that your parents instilled in you, and is there anything that you'd want to do differently with your own kids?
I want to copy a lot from my parents. I want to give them a lot of love and just let them know that I'm always going to be there for them and that they can talk to me whenever. I think the only thing that I'll change still is I let my daughter talk to boys on the phone when they're younger.
There's nothing that I definitely copy everything that my parents did with me. Again, show a lot of love and be balanced and be open-minded. Listen to their arguments. My parents do that with me, and it helps so much because they point out, like when I ask them to do something and they say no, then they tell me why, because it really helps me to see that what I'm asking is not all that important and that they're just more protecting me, and I definitely want to do that with my kids. And I don't care if my kids talk to boys on the phone when they're younger, because no boys ever called me, so I didn't have the problem.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of personal. When I was your age, I was resentful to my parents, and I really wanted to fly the coop. And I wonder if you can relate to that sensation at all, if you want to get the heck out of home and you're ready to go, or, if you feel you feel comfortable at home.
I feel real comfortable at home, and I don't want to leave yet. There's some times when I get frustrated and I feel like I just want to get out, but it's nothing, I don't think long term. It's only maybe a drive to the store, to the mall or something. I'm really happy at home, and I don't foresee myself moving out in the near future.
Same here. I don't want to move out until I have to get married. I'm not that happy, but until I get married, because I don't think I could live away from home. I don't think I could handle it.
Okay, and then this sounds kind of corny, but is your dad your hero?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Along with that, what do you like about your parents as people? What are they like? Are they fun? Are they strict? Are they always
The
kind of
best.
My dad's fun. He's like the best guy to be around. He gets along with all of my friends, and all my friends just love him. I mean, I had a friend that wanted to marry him. They wish my mom wasn't around. I'm like, don't tell me that. It's like, this is my dad you're talking about. But he's just the best. I love him so much. He's just so fun.
It's fun because a lot of my friends are really ashamed of their parents, and I'm not at all. And my friends can sense that, and they all think my parents are great. And that helps me because, I mean, if my parents were really mean or something, I wouldn't want to bring my friends over. I'd be embarrassed. But my parents they're really sweet. They're fun. I don't know. They're just really good.
My mom, she's wonderful. She's so good. She listens so well, and she tries so hard to understand us with all of our problems that we go through. She's always there. She'll tell me, I really want to understand, explain these things to me. I think that's the biggest thing that I appreciate about my mom, is that she's always there for me.
Was one parent a lot stricter than the other, or were they basically,
My dad was a lot stricter.
I think so.
Amy, I'm not sure if I have this story right, but could you share, or maybe it's Jenny, the one of you got a chance to go to camp. I think it was last year or the year before, and I think maybe if the people hear that story, they'll understand a little bit about what your parents have fostered in you, your relationship together. Do you kind of know what I mean? Okay.
Okay, well, I mean, she was a good girl in this story, so. There was a summer camp, I think it was when I was in 8th grade. I really wanted to go really bad, but we didn't have the money to go, and we were over Bollinger's house, and Mr. Moore came over. He was the pastor of junior high at that time, and he asked me if I was going to the summer camp, and I said I wasn't, and I guess he went in, my dad was working over there, and he went in and talked to my dad and just said, we can supply a full scholarship for Jane to go to camp, and it was the next morning that I'd be leaving. And my dad said that that was fine, and it was really neat because I had already had commitments for babysitting, and Amy was just so happy for me when she found out I could go. She took my commitments for me, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to, and she encouraged me in going, and I had such a good time that it was really neat because she said, don't worry about it, I'll take your jobs, go, you'll have a good time, you'll meet new people. And she was really, I don't know, it was really neat to have her do that for me.
Do you think that happened because your parents had helped you to learn that it was important to be happy for each other when something good happened to the other person?
Yes, they always remind us of that. I mean, Amy got a car from my grandparents for graduation, and it was just like, I won't get this car when I graduate, because I know I won't, but but I had to be happy for her, and she's been really good because she lets me drive it once in a while. And
all the time.
That's because she doesn't want to drive. But no, but they just always tell us to be happy for each other. And it makes things a lot easier because if we were jealous, we'd always be in arguments and we'd be bitter towards one another. So.
What makes your family unique? What kind of things do you like to do together that are fun? Maybe what are some of the things that you remember growing up that were really special that you did together? Maybe trips or hobbies you had together?
Growing up, I remember just the time we spent together. I mean, it didn't matter what we did. I mean, we'd go out sledding at, 11:30 at night when it was freezing cold or something like that. I mean, just crazy things. As long as we were together, it didn't matter what we did. We just had a good time doing it. And I think that makes us fun.
That was always fun, going out sledding and stuff. I remember doing a lot with my dad because I was kind of like the boy of the family, the boy he never had. And so I would go like ice fishing with him and regular fishing, and we'd slaughter the pigs together, and we'd go looking for the worms when we had to go fishing, and we'd do all this neat stuff. And I think I really enjoyed that because it brought me so much closer to my dad. anybody that has girls, get to know them because they're going to love you when they get older, because it's so nice to have my dad there. I can talk to him about anything, and I never thought I would be able to at this age. You know, boys, what am I going to say to my dad? He's not going to want me to be looking at boys or anything, but I can, if there's one person I go to, automatically it's him, because he knows, you know, he understands me, and he knows what I should do, and he's always giving me advice. And I think that was like one of the biggest things I remember, spending time with my family. And my mom was always, you know, inside, getting ready for us to come home and having hot chocolate for me and coffee for my dad. So it was just always nice. Those are like the most times I remember with my family.
Did you ever have any friends that might have pulled you down or put enough pressure on you to start changing your attitudes? And if you did, how did your parents handle that?
I think usually Jenny and I spotted them before our parents did, fortunately, and we just slowly avoided, I guess you could say, or just slowly dropped contact as much as we could with them. You can pick up each other, we can pick up on each other, you know, like if there's a change in an attitude, and I think that helps. Just avoid slowly.
If you could tell a group of teenagers about dating and some of the principles that you've held to, what do you think you would tell them?
Make sure you have a friendship, because it doesn't matter if the relationship works out, because you're still going to have the friendship there, and that's something. If it's truly a friendship, it's something you're never going to lose. But if you start with, you know, really fast, all of a sudden boyfriend and girlfriend without getting to know the person, and then you break up or whatever, you wasted time with this guy, and plus you don't even have a friendship out of it. So it's just like a waste.
This may sound silly, but I was just curious what some of the rules were that your parents have given you in your dating setup as for what time you have to come home, how long is it before you can talk to a guy on the phone, are you ever allowed to? Just some of those guidelines, and this is separate, but the other question was earlier you said you don't care if you ever leave home till you get married. Do you feel you're independent enough to do it, or are you so dependent on mom and dad that you need to stay home? Have they encouraged independency in you that when the time does come that you are not so fearful of leaving them that you can't deal with it?
Okay, we'll answer the last question. They just went away, and we took care of ourselves. I mean, we miss them. It's not like a lot of my friends, I can't wait to get out of the house. You know, but it's like at 18, I'm not ready, I don't have a full-time job, I'm not going to be able to go and get my own apartment and what have you. And I'm in no rush. I mean, definitely, I'm sure we could do it because they raised us to take care of ourselves and to be independent. But it's just, they offered to let us stay. They don't care. I mean, they want us home, so it's like, why leave? I mean, we have fun and everything.
You're not scared to leave.
Oh, no. And for dating, they always told me when I was younger, it was 15 you can double date, 16 you can single date. And so about, I think I was 12, I just stopped asking. And and then when the time comes, it's like now, I don't know how to say this, not that we have no rules, but it depends on the situation. We're not going to bring home some guy with hair longer than mine and earrings and stuff like that, so that would shoot the guy. They just, I don't know, they want to meet the person and what time we're going to be in, what we're doing, just those guidelines.
We don't have a curfew though. It all depends on the situation. Like the other night, Amy went out, and her friend was in a play, and it didn't get over to 10:30, and then he had to clean up and stuff, and so it was like at 12, so she didn't get home until 2 o'clock. And my parents knew that. It's because they trust us, and because we won't abuse that trust that we're allowed to stay out that late, and we don't really have a curfew. But if my parents didn't trust us, I guarantee it'd be 10 o'clock sharp on anything. But it's just that trust that we have built up in each other.
And without the telephone, are you allowed yet to talk to a guy on the phone? You are. When did that happen?
When I started grade. No, 9th grade, I guess. I just didn't tell anyone I wasn't allowed to talk. And one of the first guy that called, my dad answered the phone, and he was ringing the telephone here. And when I answered, it was a guy. I was so shocked. I'm like, wow. But since then, this happened. We could talk to him, I guess.
Quick question on if you were to find your sister in a major trespass and you knew your parents disapproved and you couldn't dissuade your sister, would you go to your parents?
Yes. If it was major. I mean, this is the first thing that we all say. If I say, Amy, I have to tell you something. I said, we have to promise not to tell Mom and Dad. She goes, well, wait a second. She's all, is it that bad? I'm all, no, you just have to promise not to tell them. And she's all, well, if you're on drugs or something, then I'm telling Mom and Dad. Maybe it's not even anything like that. It's like, but we would. We already said to each other, if it's something that's going to harm ourselves, then we will go to our parents. If they're not going to, she won't listen to me, but she will.
As you were growing up in your parents' household, and seeing them grow, I guess, in Christ and stuff, how did they normally handle problems, let's say, of maybe a huge problem would come in, economic or whatever, or let's say a relational problem, and that they disagreed on something major? Did you see them work out that problem, or did they normally retreat and just solve that problem on their own, or how did you see them deal with situations in that sense?
With them, like if there's a problem between themselves, they'd work it out. I mean, I don't ever remember a real big argument. They had their little spats, but that always gets worked out soon. But as far as like if we had financial troubles, they just pray. They just really pray diligently, and have Jenny and I pray, and that's been the biggest encouragement for us, is just to know there's a problem to go to the Lord.
Two questions. Regarding if there were financial problems or something like that, are you happy that your parents would share certain things with you, or like, did you ever maybe feel too burdened with certain family problems, or are you happy they shared certain things with you where you could all, pray together about it, or you know what I mean? Was it too much?
I don't think they ever, sorry. Oh, go ahead. I don't think they ever shared anything that was like so major that we'd be like totally petrified of becoming really poor or something. But just the little things that we could pray for. I mean, if we had trouble with a car and we didn't have money, pray that we can get money for the car, or that something will work out. And it was just little things like that. But I don't
You
think
didn't worry about it too much, because I have a son who's a real worrier, so sometimes I hate to say too much because he will really worry, about it. So you didn't ever feel like it was too much.
No, it was brought to us, we have another opportunity to see God work. It was that kind of attitude, so it was just fun to start praying for our troubles. It sounds weird, but it's like, the whole attitude was different. God can take care of us, and we just pray, just encourage us like that.
What type of special family memories do you have that you could share with us, and what makes them particularly special to you?
I think sledding at night was always special memories. Just, I don't know why, it was just fun. And our trip to England, that has so many memories. Just spending time with just all four of us together. I mean, I don't think we talked to anyone outside back in the States when we were over there. I mean, it was just always us. I mean, we didn't know anyone else, so we couldn't go anywhere. And I think it brought us all real closer together. Just vacations and trips like that, they're just special memories.
Yeah, and my dad, he used to wrestle with us a lot until we got stronger, and we used to beat him up. But that used to be so much fun. My mom would be in the background, Gary, don't hurt them. And maybe I'd be, Mom, help us. But it was always so much fun because, he'd sit on us and crush us, say, hey, okay. But, we did that for a long time until we got bigger, and he didn't like that anymore. So those are always special memories.
I was wondering, in your parent relationship, what you see that you would want in your future marriage. The relationship together, their love for each other, and different things that they show towards each other. What you'd want in your marriage.
I want my husband to treat me like my dad treats my mom, and I'd be happy.
But what are the certain things that
they're really good friends.
Yeah.
Married couples are really good friends. They joke around with each other. They show us that it's not like they're just like married to each other because they have to be, but they really have a good friendship, and we see it all the time. And they always encourage us to say, the guy you marry should be your best friend, because I've seen some of my friends' parents, and they're just there because they got married, and they have nothing in between them. There's no love or anything, and it's so sad to see because the girl, she's always messed up and stuff, and she doesn't know what to think. But I think that's the biggest thing, is to see their friendship that we see.
I was just wondering, what did your parents do to discipline you in terms of doing your schoolwork and getting good grades and that sort of thing? And did they really set down rigid rules, or was it just sort of the natural thing to do, to study hard, or did you study hard?
We were younger, and it's been all the way up. They mainly looked at our character, because they knew if our character was right. And I'm not saying the grade didn't matter, but if we were trying our hardest and the teacher saw that we were putting out the effort, that's more what they were looking for, to make sure that we were trying our hardest. And then in high school, it's just been, you know what, you need to graduate. And I'm not stupid, I'm going to graduate, so I'm going to get the grades I need. And that's just basically.
As far as homework, though, when we were younger, they used to kind of say, okay, you've got homework to do, why don't you sit down and do it now? But now that we're in high school, they say, you know what you have to do, and you'll pay the consequences. And so they don't, it's like if I don't do homework, then I get in trouble, I get my grade lowered in class, and they don't get after me and say, now, Jenny, why didn't you do your homework tonight? And they don't tell me to sit down when I get home from school and say, Jenny, do your homework now, and work on it till you're done. We know what we have to do. So.
This question is mainly for Jennifer, but Amy can comment too. I sense that you may have a frustration in in the dating situations you're talking about. And do you think that perhaps that when you go out on a date, that you compare the boys to your father, and and because of that, you are not finding any of the boys out there that really rate as how your father rates in your eyes?
I definitely look for my dad and guys. I mean, that's definitely true, because I love my dad so much, and the man I marry is going to be a lot like my dad, even though he says I should find somebody better. I just can't see anybody better. And there definitely is a frustration out there, because I enjoy being with my dad more. I mean, the 2 dates that I went out with the guy I went out with, was just take me home. That's who you're talking to. Well, I know I'm talking to, they understand. But I don't know. There's definitely a frustration there of not seeing my dad and the boys. That's fun. That's fun.
I have a question. I would like to know how your family handled sex education. Like, at what age was that introduced to you? And I do have a second question.
Well, my parents already knew everything, so I didn't have to talk to them. And
in regards to... Okay, now what about your life?
My mom, we never got sat down, so now this is that.
Learned it off the street.
I learned it all from Amy. You learned
the way.
Okay, Amy, now your accountability. How did you learn?
We learn from listening to conversations. I mean, you pick it up and listening to parents talk. My mom talking with her sister and stuff, and I did learn a lot from it. I mean, just talking to Amy and stuff, because she had her friend that had the older sisters, and so she learned everything from the friend, and then I said, hey, Amy, tell me. So, I mean, but we never got sat down and said, listen, here's, I think I would have been too embarrassed for my mom to sat me down and say, okay, now, talk about it.
So you felt comfortable in the way that you learned that it was adequate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the second question I have is in regards to the atmosphere in the family, as far as did other people, even strangers, feel comfortable coming into the home? I mean, were there people that came for dinner that maybe you didn't know, your parents didn't know entirely, or...
I missed the first part of that question.
Just hospitality, I guess, in general, to strangers.
We had people live with us a lot back in New Hampshire, it seemed. And it wasn't that bad, because through being hospitable to those people, when we came out to California, people were so hospitable back to us. And so, I mean, my parents have always taught us that if somebody needs, help, and somebody needs a place to stay, then you are to open your home. I mean, just as a Christian, just to help them out and stuff. And it wasn't bad. I mean, you got used to it. You got made close friends, with the families that lived with you and stuff. And it was a good experience because Amy and I had to learn how to give up some of the stuff that we had before, and we had to give up our rooms and find new places to sleep. And it was a good experience, I think.
Good, thank you.
This is really helpful for us to talk to you, ladies. And but there's we're under pressure too as parents, and a lot of times I know, especially for myself, I'm trying so hard to be a good parent that I get confused, And if there's one thing that you could tell us as parents to kind of keep uppermost in our mind, as we're going through this maze sometimes, trying to train our kids to be to be godly children. What is that? Is there one thing that might stick out in you guys' mind about what we should kind of keep in our minds?
Be balanced. I think it's the biggest thing. Just don't go to one extreme and don't go to the other. I think that'd be one of my biggest frustrations if my parents weren't balanced. Because if I wanted to do something, they just said, no, you're not doing it. It's like, why not? If they didn't, they don't always have to tell me why they said no to me, and I understand that. Because some things they just say no, we just don't want you doing it, and that's the answer I accept. But they're very balanced, and I think that's like one of the biggest things you as parents can do, and just try to understand your child. Just don't be unreasonable. One of the biggest things now with my friends is their curfew, and that's really frustrating for a lot of them because it's like 12 o'clock no matter what, and the parents they just don't understand the situation. Like I was saying Saturday night with the play, we didn't even get to this party till I was supposed to be home at 1:30, and we didn't even get to the party till 1:45, and they were showing the video of the play again, and I just told them everything, and I said we should be home by 2:30 because we weren't going to savor the whole thing. But there were other friends whose parents said, nope, you still have to be home at 12, and they missed out on everything. And that, really frustrated them because here, they work, 8 weeks with these people, and then not to even see, at the party at the end. So.
How many chapters are you required to read, or are you required to read a certain amount of chapters of the Bible every week? Or what kind of family devotions do you have?
We're not required to read our Bible. We just do. You can't, I guess you can make your kids read the Bible, but if they don't want to, it's not going to do any good because it's just going to something that God's going to put within you to want to read His Word and to want to get close to Him. And as far as devotions, I think Jenny and I, sometimes we'll do them together, but they're mainly separate, devotions.
I just wondered how your parents helped you develop a sense that you didn't want to let them down. Like if you'd go to make a decision and you'd think, well, I don't want to let my mom down or my dad down, and that feeling would kind of overrule, to make you do the right thing. It's like that would kind of be your decision for you, is that you wouldn't want to let them down. Like things they did to kind of instill that in you, and the trust there, things they did that you knew that they trusted you and you didn't want to let them down.
I think one thing they always told us is that along with letting them down is you're going to let God down. And I think that put more fear on us than letting down our parents. There's different things, like I said, just as far as making decisions, every decision, you make, you're going to be affected by it, either for the good or for the bad. And when we make a decision, just to think it through and just don't make, sometimes you can make quick decisions, like if you want to go out, yes or no, but like for major things, just to sit down and think. And if it's really, make to pray about it. Because just to realize the long-range consequences that it might have, or, the good that it might come out of it.
For me, if I feel like I'm going to be disappointing my parents, then I don't even think I should be doing it. Because if I have a problem, if I have to make a decision and I go, okay, that would really disappoint my parents, that would disappoint God, then my first reaction should be no. Because if it's that much trouble to make a decision, then I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to put myself through the hassle and through the consequences of whatever might happen.
I have a question. Do you, being that your parents are in ministry and they've been ministering plus, in the past too, is do you feel that there are or were times that your parents were too busy and didn't have time for you? And if so, did you tell them so? And if you didn't feel that way at all, why do you think that you didn't feel that they were too busy?
We definitely thought they were too busy, and we told them last year, and now they have one class. So I feel better now, and now that I guess we have them, we don't mind anymore. That if they were to go out for 3 nights, it wouldn't bother us anymore because they showed us that we are more important to them than their ministry. There's always a balance. Like if you needed us for any of the nights, something really important came up, we'd stop the class, but he says, don't expect us to stop the class on a whim type thing. So it's like a balance between both of us. It was like a give and take type thing.
I have a 2-part question for you in 2 different stages of your young lives. As little girls, did you ever feel the pressure that maybe your parents wanted sons at all in the family?
No. I was my dad's boy. I was the son that was sent to him. Yeah, and besides, he always told us that he was so glad he has daughters. And, he'd tease us every once in a while. Well, if I had a son, but he just always tells us how thankful he is for us and how he wouldn't.
Especially when you have to milk the cows and stuff like that.
Cows.
The second part question is something I've really realized in listening to you talking about your parents, especially about your father's relationship with you. How has your father, especially in your adolescent lives, made you feel special as his daughters? Has he ever taken you out on a special date without your mother, etc.?
He'll go out with us, maybe not like a date or something, but it's weird because the week they were away, I was away the week before I went on vacation, and I didn't have, I always get a hug from my father, and he figured no big deal type thing. But by the time they got back, it was so weird because I had no self-confidence anymore because I didn't get the reinsurance from my father. And he makes me feel so special and so loved. And it was a weird feeling to know when they were gone, a part of us was missing. And it's because he shows us so much attention. It's not flattery. It's all sincere and everything. But that's how he makes us feel special. He'll tell us we look nice in the morning, or, if we don't look nice, he'll make us change our clothes and stuff like that. Just little things to know he cares just helps us.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions for you. The first of all, that deals with when your parents were punishing you, I assume that they didn't do it right every time. When they obviously did make a mistake, either an overreaction or, say, maybe giving a spanking where it should have been withdrawing of a privilege, how did they communicate to you that they realized that they had made a mistake?
They apologized to us. And then my dad would joke about it and say, but there was probably something you did to deserve it another time, so it evens out. But they would make sure they apologized.
The other question is, did they give you any directions? Of course, as you were growing up, TV and movies have steadily gotten worse. What kind of guidelines did they give both of you when you were at either the homes of friends? As you know, even with Christians, the standards vary greatly as to the content of most TV programs and some movies. Do they tell you, no, you shouldn't see this, or do they say, well, if you're going to be there, cover your eyes, ears, or something like that?
Usually, as a rule, we're not allowed to see R and PG-13 movies. There's always exceptions. But right out, it's always been, I can't see R-rated movies, I'm only allowed to see PG movies. And when you say it right out, like say we're going to have a movie, I just tell them I can't see it. And we haven't had to come into any problems with that. And it's hard because when, someone you look up to says, oh, this is a real good movie, and you rent it. And I remember one, they were adults, and I said, oh, this is real good, so we got the movie, and we didn't even watch half of it. And they were with us, and my dad had to turn it off and everything like that. So sometimes, you have to take stands, and there's been plenty of times we've taken the movies back, 15 minutes into it and stuff. You just know it's no good.
Okay, this is a question regarding dating. Other than the fact that a guy be a Christian, what other qualities do you look for?
That he respects my parents, he respects me, I look the way he treats his mother, the way he treats other people, is he respected by others? Because I know when you're with a person, they can be really sweet and everything to you, but if they're not like that with other people, that eventually it's going to change and he's going to turn on you. So just look for how he is around other people and how he really treats other people. And just one caller. I mean, that's just another thing I look for.
I have a question over here. Are your grandparents Christians?
On my dad's side, his mom and his great-grandmother are still Christians, are still alive, but my dad's father passed away a while ago. But my grandparents on my mom's side are not Christians. My grandmother likes to think she is, but she's not.
Do you have many friends your age that are non-Christians?
I personally don't. Excuse me. That are not Christians? Is that what you said?
Not Christians.
Non-Christians. I personally don't have a lot of friends that are not Christians.
How about you, Amy?
I have a few, but it's an iffy situation. They think they're Christians, but you can. I'm no one to judge salvation. Only God really can. But by their lifestyle, you can question it. I have some like that.
Is it difficult to relate to non-Christians being brought up as a Christian? I was not brought up as a Christian. I became one, at a college age. So I was wondering if it's difficult for you to relate to non-Christians.
No,
Your age.
I don't think it's. I mean, the non-Christians that I come in contact with, I don't think it's that difficult, to be around them. I mean, sometimes it's really funny. They'll get on you, for some of the standards, but it's just, that's about it. I mean, you might get a little guff about just different why you go to church on Sundays and things like that, and they might think, oh, you're religious, but you can still relate some. I still relate some fine.
Nowadays, it seems like music is really controversial. Did your parents ever give you guidelines as to what kind of music you can listen to and what you couldn't? And what do you think about the music, and what do your peers think about the music that's on the air now?
The only thing my dad said, he doesn't want us listening when he's around to Michael W. Smith and Amy Grant, and we don't. But we made our own as far as what we know is the Lord would want for us and everything like that. I mean, sometimes, like with Amy Grant, there's like a little difference because my dad doesn't think that it was really right for her to switch over. But he hasn't put that on us. So what he asked us to do is not to listen to it in front of him rather than saying don't listen to it at all. And so that was just like a compromise, things like that.
So you guys would choose Christian music over listening to the radio stations then?
I have two questions. Regarding chores, how are they divided up? And two, regarding finances, specifically an allowance as you were growing up?
We didn't get an allowance.
My dad said we ate it.
Yeah. We ate our allowance.
As far as chores, we're always, it needs to be done.
If there's something to be done, then you just do it.
And that's just, we're responsible for our room and our bathroom upstairs.
But if we see something downstairs that needs to be picked up or the rug needs to be vacuumed, then we'll do it. Because my mom tried doing chores with us a long time ago, and Amy and I were just like, Mom, it just didn't work out. I don't like things being called chores either. It reminds me of Little House on the Prairie. Go do your chores, girls. It always bothered me. And so, but it's more of our responsibility in knowing what we have to get done. And, my parents just said, you're responsible for your room and for your bathroom, and then, we just learned to pick up whatever needed to be done around the house. And we never got our allowance. We babysat if we won extra money.
Could you go into that a little deeper?
Pardon?
Can you go into that a little bit more as to
Allowance,
or why not, or how did your father and mom feel about that?
They always taught us how to handle money, just as far as when we were younger, just automatically just to give 10%. Even if it was $1, we give 10 cents in the thing. And so he brought up that responsibility and that you're going to have needs sometimes. So he taught us to save save for a rainy day and stuff, and just to have goals if we wanted to buy something, we'll just save up for it, and just little things like that. When we had to work for our own money, if we needed clothes, he'd buy them for us. I mean, it wasn't like we were going around with nothing. And he supplied our needs. It was above and beyond. If we wanted extra, we had to work for the money ourselves.
Okay, I don't mean to take up too much time, but specifically for me, what did you do to work for the money if you did not get an allowance? If you had your chores, was there other things that you would do for, quote, work?
Well, we would work for our grandmother. Well, Amy would work for her grandmother. I would maybe do an extra job around the house, maybe wash the floor or something and get 50 cents for it. Or when I was 10, I started babysitting, and so that's where we got most of our money from. So I thought it was really good for us not to get an allowance, because it really taught us that when we had money and when we wanted stuff, that we really had to save and budget what we had and stuff. Because some of my friends, they get an allowance every week, and they don't know what to do if that $10 was gone. But I was, they just they waste it on whatever. So I think it taught us a lot of responsibility.
Along with the issue of household duties, I know you girls wouldn't share this story without somebody asking, but why don't you share what happened when you moved into your house in Chatsworth? Where were your parents? And how did everything get moved?
They did a conference somewhere, and we just got all of our furniture, all the boxes, and from back in New Hampshire. And they were gone. Was it a Friday night to Saturday? Or was it Saturday morning? I forget, but they were gone really early, and they got home really late. And so the Saturday, we just worked, and we put everything away, and we washed the dishes, and set up the whole house for them for a surprise.
When you were real little, like ages 4, 5, and 6, if you can remember that far back, did you have like a daily Bible study with your mom and dad, or a Bible talk, or anything like that?
In the summers, my mom, Psalms we'd go through?
Yeah, I remember. And I remember at night, my dad doing a little story with us.
Yeah, we went through like George Mueller and
we did a lot. Yeah, we did a lot of that.
And different books like that. After the dinner table, we'd read a chapter a night.
I was wondering, I've noticed a lot of the teenage girls that come to church on Sunday, the outfits some of them have on are outrageous. The parents let them come to church. Like, have you guys ever had any problem with your choice of what you wanted to wear and fashions that are in style?
Sometimes. I think I'd have the biggest problem. I mean, I'm not fatty, but I like the clothes that are in. I'm more fatty than Amy is, and I don't pick out those things that some of the girls wear on Sunday because I can't even believe that they're wearing them. But
we just, since we're under Dad's authority, we just go with what he wants.
Did either one of you ever go through what they call supposedly the teenage rebellion against their parents? To any extent?
I don't think so. We've been closer since we've been teenagers than we were when we were younger. I remember, I guess 10 or 11, I could never picture myself now even having a relationship with my parents. So we're so close, and my family's like my best friends. And I never pictured that then, I never pictured that I'd have such a good relationship as I do now. Did I say that right? Okay. And there's sometimes, like I feel like I disagree, but I don't think I've openly rebelled and gone completely against what they've had to say.
When I was asking a question earlier about the TV and the movie programs, I didn't specify there when you were younger. We've got 2 kids, 10 and 6, and we're trying to figure out what guidelines to give them when they're over a friend's house where they're not under our jurisdiction. Some of the cartoons on Saturday morning, Masters of the Universe and a few others, are just not, there's sometimes some sexual messages in there. There's sometimes some drug-oriented messages, even dealing with astrology and all that. Did they give you any guidelines what to do? I mean, do you just say, I can't watch that, and you leave your friend's house and you come back home? Or how did you handle it around those ages, like somewhere between 6 and 10 years old?
I remember once going over to my best friend's house, and my dad said they were going to watch, I don't remember the situation exactly, but I remember I had to tell her, I cannot watch this. And then her parents were in the room and everything, and they go, well, if she can't watch it, then you guys go do something else, because I'm over their house, and they respected what my parents had to say. And it it's hard at first. It's hard to get those words out. Excuse me, but my parents aren't going to let me watch this show. But once you do it, you feel so good inside knowing that you're not going behind your parents' back.
This has two parts. How did you come into your own of having your own quiet time when you were old enough maybe to read your own Bible, or how you did that? And secondly, did your parents stress any kind of an outreach to unsaved neighbors? You're in private schools, you may not have unsaved friends there, but did you reach out to maybe those unsaved that were around you, and how did they encourage that?
As far as quiet time, especially now, I found that I need them to even get through my days, because if I miss a day, I feel so bad, and I just get so frustrated, and my days just don't go as well, that I've realized that I need to spend time in God's Word to get through my days. As far as outreach and stuff, they just told us to be examples. I mean, we were never ones to go out door to door, but they just said that your life is going to be the example for a lot of people, and I know that for some of my friends, I have been the example in their life, and it's been an encouragement to them, and they've grown through it, and so that's, I think, in the real way that they've encouraged us to be in outreach.
That's the end of our questions. Why don't we give them a big hand? I think they did a great job.